Hi, my name's Diane Welch. I am a writer and publisher of Learning Language Arts through Literature. This is my daughter, one of my daughters, Erin, who is a homeschool mom, and Faith, who works for the company. And if you've ever ordered or contacted us in any way, your packages, they all come from her. Today we wanted to just give you an overview of what it is to use, how to use Learning Language Arts through Literature, how it came to be, and to help you evaluate if it might be something that would work for your family. So the history is that 30 years ago, I was homeschooling at a time when it was still kind of new and had 3 children at the time. We would set up in our little room in the front and have our class with all of our little workbooks, and I was teaching language arts one day when I had done some workbooks with Erin, and she turned in her page. It was just perfect, A+. And then, yeah. And then I gave her a writing assignment, and she is a gifted writer, very clever, turned in a wonderful little story. As I went through it, I realized that she didn't use punctuation, and that's what her 100% workbook sheet had been on. And I threw up my hands and thought, what am I doing? This is a waste of time. It's frustrating. The workbooks were taking a lot of time. They were boring. And shortly after that, a friend introduced me to Ruth Beechick's book, You Can Teach Your Child Successfully. And in that book, she covers all the subjects, but she covered language arts. And the way she suggested that we teach it is as an integrated lesson where it's all tied together, all the skills, grammar, writing, punctuation, and also that it be grounded in good literature. Just as we learn to speak well as children, our babies are learning to we speak correctly to them so that we act as models, and they end up effortlessly learning how to speak correctly. And writing is much the same way. If you follow a good model and you immerse yourself in good literature, all of those, the grammar, all of that stuff, naturally at some level soaks in and sticks. So I decided to use her lessons as a springboard. I needed more than the 5 lessons she had in the book, and I began to write my own lessons. And out of that came the first Learning Language Arts through Literature book, which was the TAN book. Of course, what I found out is as homeschoolers, we did that this year. I need something for next year. And so the other books came along through 2 other authors and myself to complete the series. As I said, it's literature-based. I was an early reader, an avid reader, and when I started having children, I decided that I would read every book before they read it. Any book that they would read, I would preview it. That quickly became impossible, but because of that, I had a very good foundation in children's literature. And I began to go through books, look for dictation passages, which I'll explain later, that would be the basis for the weekly lesson, and through that passage teach the language arts skills. I think that's the history of it. And
so Erin, how many children do you have?
I have 8
What?
children.
What? And you use Learning Language Arts through Literature?
And I use Learning Language Arts through Literature, not with all of them, but yes, some of them are not in school yet.
Five of them, right now?
6.
6 of them?
6 of them right now. So how do you use LLATL with 6 kids at the same time? Well, you don't. You don't do it all at the same time. That would be impossible. But it has a lot of pluses for a large family like mine. One of them is the open and go feature, where you don't have to spend a whole lot of time planning for each day. It's there. It's ready to go. I can, if somebody finishes math a half an hour early, hey, just pick up the book and we can go with them for their language lesson. And because it's kind of scripted, where my teacher book tells me this is what I should say, I can feel very comfortable in just knowing that I can teach the lesson well. And it doesn't take a whole lot of time on my part. It's a lot of self-directed student work. So I can set each child up probably in about 10 to 15 minutes, send them off on their own to do their assignments and all of that. And there are assessment tests throughout the book, so I can check up with them afterwards to make sure they're actually learning and getting their punctuation in, which I have since learned. I use commas perfectly now, many commas to make up for the ones I never used before. But and it's just a very natural conversational way of teaching, and it really encourages the kids to read, which, as I have learned, is if you love reading, so many other things come easily. And I love seeing my kids pick up a book and really want to keep going with it.
Good.
So you use the term conversational tone. Mom, what does that mean as the person that wrote it? Like, why did you write it that way?
I wrote it in first person, so that you would be the authority, you would be the one to engage with your child, and as Erin said, so that a part of everything that we publish at Common Sense Press, there are some important features. One is the open and go. We know that you're busy. We know that life happens, and so to be able to just open the book and start teaching is a big help. The conversational tone makes it, again, more personal. It engages your child. Something else, but I don't know. I like that when I'm using other curriculum. It always has appealed to me. So.
Erin. How does LLATL encourage your kids to read more?
Well, first, I think it introduces them to so many different books that they would not normally otherwise pick up on the library shelf. They might stay with, their comic books or their Captain Underpants or other things like that, instead of branching out. And so it gives them a taste for each one. And in some of them, we have a book study. We have about 4 book studies per book, per year curriculum. And that enables them to read the entire book, and that's really stretches them and gives them different things to read. And I've just seen them branch off from that with, oh, I really like that author, I want to go read their other stuff, or I really enjoy this. For some of those shorter pieces, they'll go get the whole book from the library and they want to read the book. So it's just a great way of introducing them. And I think introducing them to a wide variety, so they don't just stay in their Minecraft novels, and nothing wrong with those, but give them a wider, one of my daughters is now reading Agatha Christie because of some stuff that she was introduced to, where she wouldn't pick that up normally.
And I will say the book studies, as I said, dictation is the basis for most of the lessons, and the dictation passages for all but one of the books are taken from novels that the student does not have to read the whole thing. But we chose these passages, hopefully as tacked as hooks, that they will want to read them. And so you may, out of a year, find 2 or 3 books that they will read that they never would have read. And they're classics, so you want them to read them. But the book studies I particularly like because they read the whole book, and during that time that they're reading the whole book, we put down grammar and all the punctuation and all of that, the skills that we need to learn, and that's good, but it gets them into a book, and all of the book studies introduce some vocabulary. They have discussion questions so that you can, with answers, so that you can discuss it with them if you don't have time.
And a summary of the book in case you don't remember it from when you read it a long time ago.
Making it easy. And then at the end of it, what I really like, at the end of the week, there will be activities that we pull out based on things that they learned or were introduced to in the book. And to me, that is the enrichment part. When we read, we're learning. You may read Agatha Christie and you'll learn what a tea party is like and what that culture is like just naturally through the story. And I know in one of the book studies, I think it's in the 7th grade level, they read the Mysterious Benedict Society. And the children in the story are on an island and having to communicate with their parents and the adults on the shore. And to do that, they teach them Morse code. So one of the activities while they're reading the book is we give them the Morse code.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Encourage them to communicate with their siblings.
And write all of their notes to their mother in dots and dashes. Whether it's, can I have a drink of water?
So it's fun. I think you'll find that through all of them. And I really think that enriches their life. And again, the model of good writing, you can't say enough about that. They will write better if they have good models.
So for my side of it, when I came along to do the language arts curriculum, it was already in its 2nd edition, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I used the
Long.
program all through my homeschooling days. And then I went on to become an English major, writing emphasis. So it clearly helped a little bit. And together, my sister and I wrote the final book in the series, the 12th grade book. And that it kind of tied up the whole generational feel of this curriculum.
So that the beginning was her not being able to use punctuation.
I don't know why we still tell
I
that
love that story.
I know you do.
And it ended
Me being
with
so good at punctuation.
That you still had me help you with my comma usage.
but to finish out the series, it had been 30 years and we had never gotten that 4th high school book out, and it was just a real satisfying thing for me to see it all come together. And it is probably, it's a college level course, but it covers, if your student completes that, it's equivalent, I believe, to completing their first 2 semesters of college English. It will be a breeze. And so I really am proud of the work they did, and I think it works very well.
So why don't we talk a little bit about the first 3 high school books and how they're different from the 1st through 8th grade?
1st through 8th grade, again, is integrated lessons that have spelling, vocabulary, writing, grammar, all of that taught in each lesson. It's not like you're doing a workbook page and have 5 different workbooks for each of those things. Everything is taught in little bites, and then, as Erin said, every week there's a review at the end of the week. The dictation lesson at the beginning of the week is also, I wanted to say a little bit about that because it's key, it's the foundation of the curriculum. And I have to encourage people not to skip it because it does seem tedious at some level, but that's where a lot of the learning goes on. And that's the day. Dictation day is the day that takes the longest. You have to, and you may have to stagger dictation day if you have a lot of kids, or have the other kids
dictate to each other.
Yes. There are lots of ways to get around it. But what basically is you sit down, the student has a blank piece of paper or the workbook, and you dictate the lesson. You read the paragraph to them, and you read it in small little sections. I like to read it slowly, and then after I've done a sentence or 2, I will go back and repeat it so that they can track to make sure they're on track. I always like to sit close to them to make sure they're not getting stressed because they don't feel like they can keep up. That's not the point of it. And then at the end, I like to go over the dictation with them, because when you do that, you're going to find maybe they don't know how to spell a word, or maybe they don't realize that there are commas in lists of words or different little skills, different things they need to know, and you can talk about it and use that as an example. It just grounds it. And it takes just a few minutes, and that lesson's over, but it because it's tied into real writing, it's more effective. And of course, through that, you will also see the words that they misspell. That goes on their individualized spelling list, and they work through those throughout the week. But that's the 1st through 8th grade. Again, dictation lessons, book studies, writing instruction, all integrated into 1st through 8th grade. So when they hit 9th grade, everything changes. High school students are starting to read critically. You want them analyzing. You want to make sure they're comprehending what they're reading, but it's all about the literature. Now, all of those skills that they learned from 1st to 8th grade, they're going to be using them now in writing their thoughts and analyzing literature. But you're not going to be focusing on that. You're still teaching. I would keep a handbook nearby, and if you see errors that keep coming up, then go to the handbook and read, talk about it. Again, it doesn't have to be a big lesson, but we recommend that there are four high school years, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. We recommend that the student complete the world literature book in the 9th grade, then do American literature, British literature, and then the literary criticism. Literary criticism needs to be 11th maybe, but for sure 12th. But the world, British, and American, you can switch it around. If you're teaching American literature in the American history in the 9th grade, you might want to do American literature. That's up to you. The books have lots of writing prompts. They have introduced the student to, again, as much classical literature as we can. I know both of you had experiences in college when you got there. Teachers would be amazed that you knew what The Old Man and the Sea was. You read that book, So it does give you a really good foundation and a little bit of a step up. Mm-hmm. They'll be introduced to poetry, nonfiction, and fiction through the books. You need the textbook, no student workbook, but several of them, or 2 of them at least, have an anthology, and that would have the literature that they're reading along with the book. Most of it is, all of it in there is public domain. You can find it online. It's very difficult. So we do recommend that you get the anthology. It makes it easier for your student. It's keyed to it. But we also have a test booklet, because we realize at 9th grade now we need to start keeping grades for that diploma. And I taught all of these classes through co-ops, and during that time I developed tests, and I thought, well, I'll make those available. But that is strictly optional. You can make your own test, but it's just another one of those helps. And it has course notes, which is a summarization of every key point, every thing that they have been taught through each unit of the book. So that can act as a review. You can use it as a review before they take the test, or just as a study guide before they take the test. Again, I think review, review, review. That's how we learn. And finally, I'm excited about this. We do offer a writing assessment service for each book. The major writing assignments, your student will you tell about that, because you do it mostly.
So you go online and you sign up, and then as you're working through the high school book, you email us your students' essays, and then I and usually my mother as well, we will go over the essay, make comments about how to strengthen writing, how to fix grammar mistakes, how to work on your thesis statement and structure, MLA format. We'll send it back. We love getting the outlines before the kids write the essays, so we can work with them on what they're about to write.
And if the student maybe missed the assignment or their outline wasn't strong enough, they're welcome, Faith will give them a lot of instruction and they're welcome to redo it and send it in again.
The goal is
Or
always,
learn and
yeah,
use whatever.
learning.
That's what we want to see,
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter how well you write, it's important that you're making progress, that you're building on things that you learn, and you just keep getting better and better and better. So I think that's a real useful service. Is that all for the? Each one of the books is earns a high school credit, and it takes a year, 9 months to do it. And most states you need 4 credits, and the 4 books meet that requirement. And we also, I have the phone, so if you have a question, call me. I love to talk and to encourage people, moms, as they're trying to figure out what they're doing and how to use the curriculum, or just to tell me what a crummy day they had.
We do it all the time.
I just feel like anybody, just about anybody, can be successful at homeschooling. You can do this. And nobody has as much invested in your child than you. I don't care how many degrees or professional accolades you have. You are the best teacher for your child. And you can find helps to help strengthen that. That's fine. So I want to encourage you to read aloud to your children, to engage in talking about what they're reading, and be excited about it and show an interest in it, and it'll be successful. You'll be able to be confident that you're giving your child the best education they can get.
Any further comments?
I just, as growing up with this program, I really, really do believe in it. My oldest just graduated with her AA, and she got
high
it
school.
from high school. She got an high school, 12th grade, AA, heading off to college, and every single paper that she turned in got an A, and her teachers were blown away with how is a 10th grader, 11th grader, 12th grader writing at this level. And it's really all thanks to learning language arts through literature.
Thank you.
you.
Well, again, give me a call if you have any questions, any comments. I'd be happy to talk with you. Thank you.